You are listening to the Keenan Vision Podcast, produced by Salesforce Devops.net. This is episode 16, broadcast Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. SFDX-Hardis, a demo with Nicolas Vuillamy from Cloudity. Let's commit. Welcome, everybody, to the Keenan Vision Podcast, and today we're going to look at SFDX-Hardis with Nicolas Vuillamy, who is the CTO of Cloudity over in France. So welcome, Nicolas.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Vernon.
So before we get going, I think everybody wants to know a little bit about, who we're meeting. So just tell us a little bit about how you got to this position at Cloudity. It's kind of an unusual path, I think.
It's a long story that I will try to make very short. I started coding at 10, and today I'm CTO. I am CTO of the business unit of doing Salesforce integration in Hardis Group. I have been hired 2 years ago, and recently Hardis Group and Cloudity, which is a company in Poland but also in other countries in Europe, has merged. And now I am co-CTO of the French part of Cloudity.
So let's just dive right in. Tell us the SFDX-Hardis story, and if you got any slides or materials you want to show us about that, go ahead and tell us more about the product.
I have slides, but unfortunately they are in French. So because there is not a long time that we are working international. But even if I don't have slides, I have some speech and some documentation, which is fully in English, of course.
Perfect.
So I can try to share and succeed to share my screen. And I will directly open my documentation. And I think later, the best way to see what we do will be to read the great articles that you invited me to post on Salesforce Devops.net.
Right, and everybody should be able to find a companion article on the website to this podcast where Nicolas actually wrote a very, very readable, very entertaining article about the story and how you can use Hardis.
And to make, again, long story short, when I arrived in Hardis Group, so now Cloudity, 2 years ago, we were already using some CI/CD on projects. So it was homemade pipelines. So it means scripts in Groovy with Jenkins server with a lot of, custom scripts, so Bash and whatever. And to have working pipelines because we had, teams with 15 people working on the same project. So it was not possible to work with change sets or equivalents. And what was working on a project, we have been asked to do it on other big projects. So we have been in a situation where we had to make a choice. We could have continued doing homemade pipelines like on our current big projects, but we have noticed that it requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of knowledge, and also a lot of training, especially for people without a technical background. So we have looked on the market, of course, and on the market we saw that there were great products like Copado, Gearset, Salto, Torabit, a lot of people who make their living by doing Salesforce products. But the inconvenience was that it costs licenses, and we didn't want to force all our customers to take licenses because it would have been difficult discussions. And what if we go with Gearset and then we see, Copado is better for our need? Or what if we go with something and we invest and we see that it's not working? So we looked at open source world, and we discovered what Accenture does with DX@Scale. And I was really impressed by what Aslam and his friends did. But
Mhm.
for our simple requirements, mono package, it was too heavy for us to use that. So we decided to create was not existing in the middle of that, which is packaging CI/CD pipeline engine as a form of SFDX plugin. So on all our projects, we can use the same pipeline engine, but having a unique maintenance for this engine and just have the custom configuration in the project repositories.
So let me see if I can summarize that. Pull out the parts that I like there, which is first of all, you seem to be creating a system that's composed of little pieces that you can script together, essentially. And it's more modular, and it's kind of like the way that open source projects are built in general is that you're bringing in all these different pieces from other authors, and you're kind of scripting it together into a sequence or a process that you and your colleagues can all share. So this describes how regular DevOps works, kind of, how if you're building a JavaScript application or a Go or TypeScript on Node.js or something, that's kind of how you do it is through that kind of process. And I think a lot of people look at the Salesforce development process and having experienced that way of doing things, and they go, "Oh my God, you guys are doing what?" And I think, this, like DX at scale, a little similar, is lets you approach DevOps as a modular, scriptable, chunkable kind of practice. And that's a lot different than going with one of the vendors, for sure, because those are all highly opinionated, and you got to stick with the way that they're doing it. And also, you got to pay them a lot usually to get that. So I see the motivation. I see, why you guys did it. So what else can you show us about the product?
I can tell you of what it is composed. Maybe it's too early for the demo. We will do it. I have one ready.
Let's
But I
do
can.
the demo. Everybody loves the demo.
Yes, and there will be, and hopefully it will work. I think so. I will just describe quickly what is SFDX-Hardis. It is first a Salesforce plugin, and we have created many commands that told about scripting earlier. Yes, we script the calls to low-level SFDX commands. So behind all the SFDX-Hardis command, there is a force org open, force source pull, force source push, force MD, force source deploy. You have all the basis commands that are used. Also,
so the idea here is that all these Hardis commands encapsulate standard execution sequences or scripts of DX commands.
And the goal is to have them within a single command of us, instead of having to maintain complex pipeline scripts that can manage everything and bash and update XML and clean profiles and remove system debugs, etc. As we have a lot of experience in what needs to be done to make a nice homemade CI/CD pipeline, what is the same in all homemade CI/CD pipeline, we packaged it. So we have to maintain it just at one place and not on all the projects. And I think for technical listeners who are kind of lost with all that we're saying, we also provided a Visual Studio Code extension that can run the components and make integrations with Visual Studio Code UI interfaces. So the goal is to
now here, by the way, you're showing off the plugin,
yes,
the VS Code plugin.
yes. it is starting to be used, I think, in the ecosystem. If I look in the extensions, oops. So for the moment, no. Just a little bit more than 2,000 people.
You got 5 stars. It's pretty good.
Probably 3 from my colleagues, but I hope that after your podcast.
Yeah, with 2,000 downloads and 5 stars, it's
and usually people prefer to put 0 stars when there is one bug. I have seen that in my other open source projects. So
that's right. People only star when they're pissed off. So
yeah. So basically we made
okay, so we got the Devops symbol over there, and then that calls up your commands. Cool.
This is a Cloudity logo, but it looks like a Devops. True.
Well, that's the Cloudity icon. I see. Cool.
Yeah, but thank you. I didn't notice it was the Devops. I didn't know my company was the Devops has a logo. It's great.
I guess you're just infinitely awesome too, probably.
Hoping so.
Okay, so let's see the encapsulation at work here.
Oh, so we can go to the demo. So let's say I am a business consultant and I don't like command lines. I'm not a technical person. So all I had to do was to install Visual Studio Code and find for SFDX-Hardis in the extensions. And once I install the extension, all the dependencies, if they are not installed yet, we will have some little messages with links saying, oh, you need Git, you don't have it. Click here and install Git. Oh, you need Node.js, you don't have it, etc. Also for the plugins. It also makes sure that all the plugins and the dependencies are up to date, because it's very important to be up to date for, let's say, to benefit from bug fixes, but also from fixes about security issues that can happen in the Node.js ecosystem. And once we have
right, because the way this works is you have an npm a Node.js installation in your working directory, and you're adding components to that with to make DX-Hardis work.
But like any like SFDX alone, like basically all local computer stuff about Salesforce is Node.js, and it's okay, but it just has to be monitored closely to avoid issues. And we have security scanners running every day on our open source stuff. So it is not less safe to use SFDX-Hardis than to use SFDX itself. Probably safer.
Probably safer because it's better organized.
No, but also because one of my side jobs is with Ox Security, and their job is to secure the pipeline supply chain attacks. So all open source I work with is secured with Ox, including SFDX-Hardis. So I hope SFDX core team does that also, but I don't know that. I don't know yet. So that's why I say maybe it's more secure.
So just to reiterate that a little, you just mentioned that or referred to the problem of using NPM at all, really, is that it brings in all kinds of junk sometimes into your directory. And you've been working with a project to actually make sure that all that stuff is coming in is clean. It's called supply chain cybersecurity.
I think it will be a topic more and more important in the future.
It's very important if you're using Salesforce functions. It's critical. There's a war going on.
Okay, so let's say I am a business consultant and I have a task. I have something to change on my Salesforce. I have to create a new field named Vernon, for example.
Okay, so this is like having a user story or something along a task within a user story or something like that.
True. So I have my extension ready. I just click start a new task, and it runs a command line, but I don't have to write it manually. And so I ask, is it a feature? Is it a debug? No, a Vernon field, it's not a debug, it's a feature. And is it configuration, development, or both? Let's say it's configuration. But those questions before is just to organize the Git branches. So to avoid to have a messy Git repository, but something more organized that can be monitored by the release manager. I create the name of my task. And now I can see behind that my some Git operations are done. So I know that I configured my project to have integration as a first pull request target. So automatically, because I don't want to ask an admin or a business consultant to do Git operations like checkout, like pull or whatever. So it is done in the background. And now I am asked if I want to work in a Scratch org or a sandbox. So sandbox are much easier to work with. So I will just select one of the sandbox I am already connected to. But I could have chose an option saying, let me connect to another sandbox that my release manager provided me. And it would have, I would have logged in the browser. And now it asks me if I want to initialize the sandbox, because a sandbox is contains already a lot of things because it is a sandbox. But probably my release manager has defined some initialization data, some permission set assignments, or maybe just my sandbox is not up to date since the latest deployment, so I want to make it up to date.
Mm-hmm.
So again, behind.
So I want everybody to be sure you're looking at the command line, the terminal part of the screen here. And you're seeing all the stuff that's going on, which is fantastic. Just with these commands. And so I think another thing to realize is that you've got essentially a web application server running where you're interacting with VS Code to do these wizards.
Yes, it's just a little WebSocket because if you see the command that are launched, you have a WebSocket address. So you call the client to say discuss with VS Code on this port, and this is how there is an integration between the VS Code UIs and the client. Okay, so now
I think by the way, the last 5 minutes of this video is the part that's going to sell people. Because I mean, to see all of those commands being emitted automatically from a wizard like that is, I think, fantastic.
And now I will create my Vernon field.
Okay, so now there's source code tracking going on. You're in the Scratch org.
This it is a sandbox, but it will be the same.
I mean, the sandbox, correct.
With a Scratch org.
With source code tracking turned on.
Yes. Let's say I will create
text field. It's the Vernon field, I guess.
To create the Vernon field.
255, man. I got a lot to say.
And I don't know, I can click what. Oh, let's create a simple, but it works if you create an advanced flow or whatever. And let's say I am a bad admin. I let all the stuff ticked.
Yep. Secure.
And I choose all the layout because I'm a really bad admin and I don't think about
That's right.
I'm doing.
Damn the security.
And now my let's say my advanced configuration is completed.
Right.
So I will say
Oh.
I will prepare my merge request. I will want to publish at the upper level my configuration. So I click on pull from Salesforce org to local files. We tried to label the menus so that they mean a little bit something to the users more than just commands. And when you see commands, you don't know what it does, you can right-click and view the command help, and it brings you directly to the command,
Nice.
to the documentation. And for some of the most complicated commands, you even have some videos. So if you're lost, you have some demo videos to be less lost. So I have pulled all my stuff, and oh, there is many stuff. So all I want to keep is my Vernon field, and also I want my Vernon field to be added on, let's say, standard layout. And oh, I don't want rights to be put on profiles. Let's choose a permission set. It's better.
Okay. Creating a permission set so we can access this new field. Go into the object settings and accounts. Good old edit. You have to get access to the object and then access to the new field. There we go. Should be able to save that. Then assign it to somebody.
And now, oh, I have new configuration to retrieve, so I can pull again, and I will see. I will
The
see
new permission set.
Permission set. Can see that
there
here.
it is.
So, it updated MFI anyway. So now I will take where is my permission set? Here. Plus. So this is the only Git stuff that admins and business consultants have to know, is how to select the metadata that you want to publish, to commit, and commit them. So let's call field and yes. I commit. So now I'm okay, and I want to publish at the upper level. So I will want to create a merge request. So I have a command save and publish my current task, and I remind to ask if the commit is ready, because if someone doesn't know what is a commit, he can click and it brings him or her to the documentation. And now I have SFDX Git Delta, another plugin that we use, which generates the delta between the current commit and the parent branch. So
sophisticated.
And so I have also some cleaning applied. So I want to commit, I want to push. Oh, there is a lot of stuff that happened, but what really happened behind the curtains? So if I open, let's say, Git UI, I will see that there is the commit that I did manually here with the fields, and SFDX-Hardis automatically updated the package XML. So for anyone that knows how nightmare it can be to manually manage a package XML, thanks to SFDX-Hardis and also SFDX Git Delta, thanks a lot, Sébastien Colladon, French guy. We are okay with it. And if I click here, I am directly on the create merge request page.
Okay, you went over, now you're on GitLab.
I am in GitLab, which is the CI server or command runner, like you call them, I think.
Right, I call it the command server. A lot of people call it the CI/CD server. It's where the scripts run that do the long tasks on your org.
Yes, and so I just have to add a little description. So because if later in 6 months I want to know what happens here, I can open the history and see
You
what's
know,
happens.
you're hiding just enough of the Git stuff here,
Yeah, I hope
because and
so.
you're not hiding it all like DevOps Center does.
And see, I created my merge request, and now
Yep.
I have control jobs that has been run. So we have two. We have one that will check the deployment to the target org. So in front of if major branch, if we look here, let's say I was in a tiny little branch at the bottom, and I want to merge in integration. So in the controlling job, I have a simulation of deployment into the integration org. So if anything would go wrong, or if any test class was crashed, or even if the Apex test coverage was not reached, the control job will say, no, you have to fix something, because if you merge anyway, when you will want to put in production, you will have problems. So the goal of all that is any problem that people working with change set, from dev to UAT to pre-prod to blah, 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 as Sandbox doesn't enforce test classes or coverage or a lot of stuff. The problem is that you see a lot of problems the day you want to deliver in production. With a pipeline, any pipeline, not just SFDX-Hardis, but we do that with SFDX-Hardis, you can anticipate those problems from the very first step, which is the merge request. And it is loading because all our jobs are running on Docker images that we provide. And SFDX-Hardis Docker images contain SFDX-CLI, SFDX-Hardis, SFDX stuff, everything necessary to work. And here,
So we're looking here at the execution log on the GitLab servers, right?
yeah. And when you are a business consultant, you're not even obliged to watch it. You can just see here if it is green or or red, and look only if it is red. And here you can see this is a low-level SFDX command doing the simulation of deployment. But what is interesting in this complex pipeline, which can do a lot of stuff, is that in the GitLab CI file,
So here we're looking at the YAML file that tells GitLab what to do.
of the pipeline. And,
Right.
and here it is just a single SFDX-Hardis command. And all the complexity, it is within SFDX-Hardis. So you, as a release manager, you don't have to make a lot of stuff. You call login, you call deploy, and all our pipelines are ready to use, and you don't need to update them. All you need to update is some configuration in a file. And
So you could by the way, you could do this exact thing on GitHub Actions, correct?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
And we can see, as this
Well,
is
we had a problem. Ooh.
we had a problem. But what is the problem? What you see usually when you have an error, it is just the part in red, saying something named blah, 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 not found. And why is that? It's because I didn't prepare correctly my demo. But here in yellow under, we analyze the error, and we tell you this is such error, and we explain it, why it happens, and every available solution to fix it. For example,
Wow.
it's you, if you renamed it, sorry, but you have to go in the target org and rename manually. If you deleted it, you have to remove it from the layout. If many if
Well, that's very useful.
And the goal is to accelerate the solving of the issues.
You know, those little tips there is what I call the black magic of release management.
And all those tips are also available in our documentation. And anyone seeing new errors that are not present in this documentation are very welcome to submit pull requests, because the more there will be, the more the tool will be efficient.
Well, that's the beauty of open source right there.
And basically, once everything will be green here, and it will be, when I will validate, I will merge my merge request, automatically another job will be triggered and deployed to integration org. So basically, once you succeed to merge something in integration, it will be automatically deployed in integration, and it will work because we had the check, the deployment simulation before. And it will be the same for all other layers. If you want to deploy integration to UAT, you create a merge request from integration to UAT, etc.
Okay, so now we're checking the deployment.
Yes. And while we are checking the deployment, we are also checking the quality. So the quality, it is with Megalinter Biox Security, and it runs SFDX Scanner, which is another SFDX plugin. And behind this one, there is Apex PMD, there is Slint, and others. But Megalinter also contains security linters like GitLeaks, like Trivy. So if someone is using, let's say, Flood library, or is putting hard-coded tokens in the sources, etc., Megalinter will catch it. So linting PMD is good, but making sure that there is no, let's say, sensitive data or risky libraries in the repository is also good.
That's all. I call that stuff developer cybersecurity, where you're scanning your pipelines and your artifacts to make sure, just like you said, somebody didn't, have a brain fart and say, "Oh, I'm just going to put that AWS security account in my thing." All right, Megalinter worked.
It works. I think it in some seconds. So here, and it also detects copy paste. So for crappy developers who like to copy hundreds of lines, which are difficult to maintain, so we have all that. And you see Git leaks here. And we even check for dead links in documentation, but it is not blocking if you find.
That's your quality gate.
And I will go back on the deployment job. Now we can see that.
Look at that. We got a success.
We got a success, and we checked the deployment, it is in success, and we even checked that the code coverage was superior to the minimum that we defined. So it is us that decided that 85%.
So you defined your quality gate at 85 instead of 75.
Yes, and it is done in a single config file here, just a property. And so the SFDX check deploy command gets this property. If it is not set, it will take 75. But we are lucky to be on a project with a high test coverage, so we don't want to deprecate it. So my merge request is all green. I can now merge it.
I see. So we were validating it. Now we're actually doing it.
And yes, and you can see that after the merge, there is a new pipeline that has been run, and this will be the deployment pipeline to the integration org. So we can see that the deployment that has been automatically triggered by after the merge request has been merged, has been deployed. So basically, in all this demo, you could see that the only let's say the only time you needed to think was when you needed to select the files that you want to commit and to publish at the later level. But all the rest, the quality checking, the deployment check, and after the deployment itself, all has been done either by SFDX-Hardis, either by the VS Code extension, or by the CI server, which was GitLab, but could have been Azure or Jenkins or GitHub or Bitbucket.
Excellent. So I think that's it. I think we got the demo. I was really impressed with the VS Code interface and how that gives a dialogue, like kind of like a wizard-like interface to starting this whole process off. I thought that was tremendous. So I would encourage, and why don't you take the screen down there, Nicolas, so we can say goodbye to everybody.
Sure.
And so thank you for a great demo today. I'd encourage everybody to go on the website, go on salesforcedevops.net and check out Nicolas's article where we've got all the links, screenshots, and information on using SFDX-Hardis. And I like it because it's definitely in that philosophy of cloud native computing, the CNCF, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, and all the little pieces that you can put together to make a DevOps pipeline work. But I think SFDX-Hardis has a real nice wizard layer on top of it and a business-oriented approach that makes using those little pieces easier. So congratulations on a nice demo.
Thank you very much, Vernon. Congratulations for the nice website and analysis. What I really like on Salesforce DevOps is that me and a lot of people like me, we see DevOps from our day work prism. And you take that from another angle, and it can basically, I think you think more about what is Salesforce DevOps than us that use it every day. So it is really interesting to read your analysis to better understand what we do every day with our Salesforce project.
Well, on that kind note, I'll say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you again on the Keenan Vision Podcast. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Keenan Vision Podcast. Please come visit the SalesforceDevops.net website and sign up for email notifications of significant updates. Thanks to 10 Ton Chicken for the music, which is available on iTunes. And also be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review about how well we did on this podcast.